Alright, testing, quick mic check. I think we're good. Good evening, Speed Gaming fans. My name is Jupiter Klein, and we've got a great race for you today between Solon Suzuki and Podolak Boys. Just to give you a quick update on the runners and their background. Podolak is actually one of the top speedrunners for any percent in this game, and Solon is an old randomizer pro, so it should be a pretty good race. A common question we get with this rando is what things are randomized. The goal of this game is to get the true ending by equipping all three of the story-relevant souls. And in this game, those are randomized. So we'll have to pick up 3 forbidden books that will tell us what souls we need. Other than that, we need some kind of flight, and we'll need to have the ability to move underwater. So those are the key progression checks. For now, these runners are going to go do this check in the underground reservoir. This is a long check, so it's often popular to either reset out entirely or just reload the game. We'll see what the runners go for. Okay, so not much down here. Another nice thing, we're actually using a new randomizer developed by Fuse. This is an updated rando, came out last year. And one of the nice things about this randomizer is that the starting bullet soul, the red soul that's equipped on Soma, is actually randomized as well. So they started with Ghost, which is a great bullet soul and has holy damage, but they just picked up Legion, which is one of the best bullet souls in the game. It deals dark damage, and it's easy to get double or triple hits in. Yeah, we can see Podolak putting that soul to great use here early. So it looks like that blue canister is going to be our first progression. Oh no, it's actually Manticore. Okay, now Manticore is a rush soul. I'm sure we'll see more of that later. But for now, we get flying armor. This is kind of the standard progression that you expect to get in the vanilla game at the start. It allows us to fall a little bit more slowly, which lets us clear slightly larger gaps in our jumps. Now you'll see on Podolak's screen here, he's going to go down and use the sleep function. This is a popular function to use. What it does is it reloads the game and puts you back at the start of the room. You can definitely save a good handful of seconds on those longer rooms if you're just trying to backtrack. From here, the only place to go is actually up this castle tower. So for now, the route is pretty limited. Wow, okay, so early flight. Hippogriff is one of the 2 flight souls in this game, the other being Giant Bat, and this is going to open up a huge amount of the castle, which means I expect we'll see some divergence between these players. Okay, wow, okay. So Podolak just gets a very fortunate random soul drop. The Wooden Golem soul doubles MP regen. For now, it's not going to be so useful, but I expect we'll see him use that in combination with the Manticore Rush Soul boss fights. I mentioned before that the key souls that we need are all randomized. In total, there are 6 canisters, at least, for each of the red, blue, and yellow souls. Only one of them is required. The rest are decoys. We might have more progression here. Kicker Skeleton. Okay. So that ability soul allows us to do a dive kick. Unfortunately, it's only useful when we have double jump, so we'll have to wait on that one. Okay, we see Podolak equip the Rush Soul. He's going to use that for kind of zipping around the castle a little bit faster. The Rush Souls, there are 3 of them in this game: Curly, Manticore, and Devil. And they transform Soma into a giant monster. You can see here. He rushes across the screen, does tons of damage pretty quick. The downside is it uses a lot of MP, so runners have to be selective about where they choose to use those souls. Neither runner is opting to do the quarters check with flight, so on the same path for now. Now, from that previous room, you actually could go to top floor, which is one of the final areas of the game. Not surprising the runners choose to save that for later. It's a very difficult area to complete, especially with, beginner equipment. You really want to wait on some better armor, I think. Okay, so we do see our first book. That blue book there is one of those ancient books that's going to tell us what souls we need to get the true ending. This one up here is backlogged, which means one of 2 things. Either the runners will have to find Giant Bat in the castle to complete the scene, or they'll have to find a duplicate blue book. The way this new randomizer works is there is a 50% chance that each of the books has a duplicate somewhere in the castle. So we can't say for sure, but that might be an option. Well, since both runners are down here, I expect they'll go ahead and check out the chapel, which is just to the right of this room. It's got a pretty easy boss fight and a bunch of checks, so it's a good thing to knock out early. Alora Une is a pretty good support soul. It boosts Soma's HP. Could be useful, but typically in these randomizers, there's a lot of food items lying around, so healing often isn't the most important thing. Okay, so we do have our first book. Podolak opting not to check it. Same with Solon, so we'll have to wait and see when they next open a menu what soul we're looking for. Yeah, so my point about food, both of those food items are going to be near max healing. Okay, so in a few moments here, we'll be coming up on the Manticore fight. In the vanilla game, this is the second fight you fight, and it's a pretty easy boss overall. Especially with the sorts of bullet souls both of these runners have found so far. Nice fight. Solon opting for Legion, and it looks like Podolak's going to go with the Rush Soul. Now there is a hidden check up here. You'll have to have some kind of an overhead attack. Tiny Devil is a great choice. Pretty reasonable MP cost. Maybe having our first divergence here, let's see. Solon is definitely going down to check out the study. And is Podolak going to join, or is Podolak going to go elsewhere? All right, yeah, so this is our first divergence. We'll have to see where Podolak chooses to go, but Solon making this play with the study, this is kind of the old route. So since he's an old school runner, this is no big surprise. There are pros and cons to doing this check. Skeleton Blaze found for Solon. The upside is there's a lot of checks down here, and it's often easy to find progression. The downside is it's quite a long check, and there's no easy way out. So once you're done clearing out the study, you have to make a long backtrack back out. So we'll have to see what Solon finds, but this could put Podolak ahead if the risk pays off. Okay, Siren Soul for Podolak. We're still not sure what the Red Soul is. Neither runner has checked that book. I think I'm going to implement a house rule for next time that when you get a book, you got to check it for the sake of the stream. That's it for this week. We'll have to wait. Okay, so it looks like Podolak is choosing to do the dance hall first. I know he prefers going to this area before the quarters area, so this makes sense. You'll see in this section there are going to be a bunch of longer checks, but we use save warping to save a bunch of time on backtracking. Okay, so we did have a duplicate red book found in the study. So on Podolak's screen now, you'll see he's going to set up a save warp, and that he'll reload whenever he's done with a check in this area. Solon gets a really great find, which is Gravekeeper. Gravekeeper is useful for a couple of different things. As you can see on his screen, he's using it to backdash and get a little bit of extra movement speed. It's also very good with heavy weapons. Normally when you attack with a heavy weapon, you have to wait the animation to finish, but you can also backdash cancel, and that can be super important against the later bosses. Okay, so we have our third book. But we know where all three books are. This could end up being quite a quick seed. Wow, okay, so Solon finds Giant Bat. Right, so we have Legion and Bale. I believe we have Bale and Legion both. So suddenly, Solon might be in the lead here. Podolak's gonna have to eventually either go down to study to get Giant Bat, or he's gonna have to hope that there's a duplicate book somewhere on the way. So now Solon's going to do this long backtrack out of the study, but I'm sure he's pleased. That trip was well worth it for Giant Bat. Meanwhile, let's see what these longer checks have in store for Podolak. Smart use of the Rush Soul there. But just a Kunitsuna. Not a bad weapon. He might choose to keep that. Podolak is going to be facing the big golem boss fight. This can actually be a pretty difficult fight. It's tough to get in safely, but with Manticore, shouldn't be too much issue. Yeah, very nice fight, very clean. Guarding a Satan's Ring, that's not a bad accessory. Definitely one of the 3 or 4 best in the game. Just kind of a general, all-around stat bump. But for me, the big thing to keep an eye on right now is Solon's got Giant Bat, and Podolak's got the 3rd hook. So we're going to have to wait and see where the runners choose to go next, because depending on who can best capitalize on that advantage, that might be the deciding factor. Now, I expect Podolak to visit quarters next, but he is not shy about doing the study check, even though it's a longer one. He may choose to venture back there, but at the moment I'd expect him to do either quarters or check out the clock tower. Yeah, looks like quarters for Podolak. Let's see where Solon decides to go next. Okay, Solon is making the absolute right play here. He's choosing to do Dance Hall, which makes sense since he found Slide in the study. Slide allows you to go directly from the Dance Hall to the quarters. But this is going to be huge for him because he's going to find the 3rd book, and he may then backtrack to get that 2nd book, the blue book that was bat-locked. So at the moment, what the runners still need is that blue book. They need to check their other books to see if they still have all the souls they need. And they also need Skula, which is the soul that allows us to move underwater. We still haven't found Skula, which could be a blessing in disguise. If Skula comes late, it often means you don't have to worry about checks underneath the reservoir. Okay, so Podolak is making a somewhat bold play here. He's going to go ahead and knock out the top floor. There is a convenient warp point here, so as soon as he's done with all these checks, he can just warp somewhere else and come back whenever he's ready. I think this is a good play. The possible danger is that it's very easy to die and take a lot of damage, but he's putting that Manticore Soul to great use, getting around the armors. Getting a bit low on health on Podolak's side. Mana Prism, that fully restores MP. I'm sure he's happy to find that. Gotta heal. You know what? I think he's gonna go back to the start. That's smart. Whenever you talk to Mina, who's always stationed at the front gate, she'll fully restore your HP and MP. So this is a good safe play, I think. Holding on to those healing items for later. So we have a few more top floor checks in these upper rooms here. And Podolak will have to make the decision about where to check next. Now, in a randomizer context, the soul we want to see the most is a soul called Black Panther. It greatly accelerates movement. You can almost think of it like the boots from Link to the Past, but for Aria. And according to the default randomizer settings, it exists about 70% of the time. So far, neither runner has seen it, so it's possible we have a seed with no Panther. But if one runner is able to find it first, that's going to be a significant edge. Solon picks up the Skyfish Soul. He was just talking in chat before the race about how he's not the biggest fan of that soul. So that's an interesting find. Quite good. It's MP intensive, but dramatically increases strength and luck. Here's some trivia about the game while we're waiting. The luck stat in this game is broken and does almost nothing. You need thousands of points of luck to have any kind of a noticeable impact on the drop rates of most enemies. So Podolak does find the Black Belt, which is one of the best accessories. It increases strength by around 4 points, and it's a go-to endgame accessory if he chooses to use it. Seeing in chat that 100% run of Aria is a true test. For those who like that sort of thing, a top Japanese runner by the name of Ponpon recently developed a really outstanding all souls, all map category route. It's a little bit over an hour, and it's a great run if you want to check that out. He manipulates most souls in the game, so definitely quite interesting. Not much luck required. Okay, so Podolak is now going to go up against Death. This could be a very dangerous fight. Thankfully, Podolak does have very good equipment at this point, but you can see Manticore putting in a lot of work. And in a few hits here, Death is going to switch over to phase 2. Okay, so Solon finds Skula, who was in the ceiling check in the dance hall. So Podolak might have to go back for that. It's always hard to estimate which runner is ahead when there's a route divergence, but at the moment, I would consider Solon to be in the lead. Very nice fight from Podolak. Yes, every week we always race true ending. So you could choose to just fight Graham without the souls and get the normal ending, but we require the true ending. Definitely a more interesting route to play and watch, I think. Got a bunch of additional fights, including a pretty notorious fight against Julius Belmont, which we'll see a little bit later on. Solon is going to be fighting Headhunter here. Pretty interesting boss, 3 phases. Each phase has 700 HP. And the first phase is no big deal, but the second and third phases can pose some problems, especially the third phase. The second phase is more focused on magic attacks. The third phase is more focused on crazy movement and also poison, which can drop both your offense and defense. Now there is a warp room out of the clock tower. Unfortunately, it's school locked, which Podolak does not yet have. So he'll probably take the winding route around the gardens. He'll go to the right here and travel to the gardens instead. Seeing in chat that the Julius fight is brutal, absolutely. And I think in a casual context, the Julius fight's the toughest fight in the game. But just to give you a little bit of foreshadowing, in a randomizer context, with levels fairly low, the toughest boss by far is the final boss, Chaos. Deaths there are very common. The first randomizer tournament we had, both myself and my competitor, we ended up dying, I think, 5 or 6 times apiece to Chaos in the finals. So if you do see deaths here, that's totally normal. It's definitely quite a tricky fight. So far, not much in the gardens. Podolak picks up a second copy of the Red Crow Soul, which can be good, but I think he'll opt to keep the Wooden Golem instead. Okay, and Podolak finds Malphus, which gives us our regular double jump. Definitely useful for kind of just moving around, general navigation. Nice, okay. So Solon has backdash, which is good for movement. But you can see the Podolak is now using that kicker skeleton he got earlier. It's a great effect. Really speed things up. I'm curious to see when Solon's going to go back for that blue book. Now might be a good time. But he may opt to check some underwater stuff. Podolak, his options are a little bit more limited. He does not have school yet, so he may be forced to either check out study or go do some of those missing checks, like the one in Dance Hall, which has Skula. But yeah, it looks like Solon's going to go underwater first. Gravekeeper Soul for Solon. That is one of the souls that can sometimes have duplicates. Interesting. So Solon is actually backtracking. I wonder if now he's decided to go check on that bat-locked book. Okay, so we're going to see Podolak do those same checks we saw from Solon a moment ago. It actually looks like Solon is going elsewhere. Let's see, is he going to do Clock Tower, or is he going to do Eastern Reservoir? Okay, it looks like he's doing Gardens, then Clock Tower. Podolak finds the handgun. The weapon is definitely a joke weapon in this game. It actually has a damage formula that nerfs its already weak damage by half. So it's not good for much except a joke. However, there is a silver gun variant of that weapon, which can be quite useful, especially in the Julius fight. So we're seeing Podolak opt for Manticore strats against Headhunter. And neither runner is going to find what they're looking for on this route. It's kind of a tense moment, you know. Whoever makes the right call first at this point is going to have a major lead. I don't believe Podolak has picked up Slide, so he'll have to backtrack as soon as he does these last couple of quarters checks. Solon gets his Malphus Soul. Oh, you know what? Podolak is actually going to do a sequence break here. Excuse me, I'm sorry. He's got Hippogriff, of course. But as some trivia, you can actually double jump kick up there by dive kicking on the candles. I almost forgot he had flight, but that is another way to get up there. Okay, so an interesting call for Podolak now. I think the right play on paper is to go do some underwater checks. He just got Skula. Seems like the right play. Of course, we know that the right play is actually going to study. So he'll have to hope that there is a duplicate book somewhere underground. So we are actually not sure what the blue soul is at the moment. We know that red is Legion and yellow is Bale. Both runners have both of those souls, but neither has picked up the blue book yet. Okay, so I expect Podolak is going to be heading for the reservoir now. Alright, let's see how Solon chooses to tackle the death fight. He's not as big of a fan of the Rush Souls as Podolak, so looks like he's just opting for the, I believe that's the Onigiri sword. Yeah, that plus Legion is good damage. Alright, so Podolak is going to go to Eastern Reservoir. There are 2 entrances into the reservoir. This is the one on the east. And these are some checks that are easy to orphan if you're not careful. So I think it makes sense to knock them out of the way early. Oh, and he just sees the rune ring. That is the best accessory in the game without question. It greatly increases MP regen. And more importantly for Podolak, it stacks with the wooden golem soul he has. So, runners are constantly thinking about their offensive equipment and their loadouts. How am I going to defeat the final bosses? Podolak is now 100% set for the rest of the game. It's interesting, casual players, I think, often underappreciate just how much damage those Rush Souls can do. They're probably the closest thing this game has to a broken offensive option. They are really, really good, tough to use, but in the right hands can be devastating. So far, not much for Podolak other than that rune ring here in Eastern. The nice thing about doing this part of the reservoir first is it's easy to take a little I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of like if you played Super Metroid, the Forbidden Highway. It's kind of off the beaten path. It's not often seen, but it connects Eastern Reservoir with the rest. So he might choose to go that way instead. All right, Silk Robe. Silk Robe is actually nice. The defensive stats are not very good, but it does boost intelligence. And even a single point of intelligence really increases Rush Soul and all other Blue Soul damage. So he might want to hang on to that. Picking up that cream soda as well. Can't hurt to have extra healing. Now, we did not see these clock tower checks that Solon is currently doing. They are both Skula locked. So let's take a look at what's down here. Ancient Belt, a pretty good accessory. Has a really nice defensive boost, but runners often choose instead to go for either MP regen or offensive stats over the defensive boosts. Okay, so I was mistaken. Podolak is choosing instead to change course. He'll either go back to Reservoir the normal way, or I wonder if he's debating a study check now. Okay, let's see that other check from Solon. Okay, Gunkner is a great weapon. Very, very useful on the Chaos 1 fight, the first phase of the final boss. So he might want to hold on to that. But they will probably find something better between now and the end of the game, I expect. Good point made in the chat by Fuse. Fuse, by the way, is the creator of this new Rando. So thanks very much again for working on this. But he makes a great point. Podolak, I forgot, picked up Undine, which means he can actually visit the study from the reverse exit. And that could be huge. I think suddenly Podolak might be pulling ahead. We'll have to see how these checks go. I mentioned at the start of the stream that Podolak is a top runner, speedrunner of this game, and you'll probably see that in the way that he uses backdash canceling. He's very proficient at it. So we see our first shop visit from Solon. Let's take a look at what Hammer's got for sale today. So plenty of cheap healing, that's good. Levitain is nice, though a little bit expensive. Yeah, that makes sense. Solon opted to go for the Levitain. Levitain is a fire sword. In the vanilla game, you typically get it in the arena. But it's definitely an endgame ready weapon. You can beat the game with just the Levitain, no problem. Yeah, I am a little bit surprised seeing in chat someone asking why hasn't Solon gotten the blue book yet. I think there's a couple of different possibilities. I hope he hasn't forgotten. That would obviously be the worst possibility, but it's also possible he's just opting to search for better equipment, just to make the end game a little bit more comfortable before doing that check. So we'll have to see. If he did forget, it's not necessarily the end of the world. Definitely a chance of a duplicate somewhere underground. So Podolak is going to do a couple of these waterfall checks. And will then proceed to study through the waterfall. And this is one of the reasons why, if you're comfortable risking it, putting off the study can often be a really smart play. Because what this effectively does, it allows you to do all the study checks, but totally cuts out that long backtrack we saw Solon do earlier. Okay, Podolak picks up Triton, which is the best offensive damage-boosting yellow soul in the game. Very, very good. Well, I say the best. Technically, it's the second best. There's another soul called the Lubricant Soul that increases offensive stats as your HP is lowered. But that is a very high risk, high reward soul. Triton is much more straightforward, always useful. So typically what we see runners do in Podolak's situation here is they often go up to the study first to save, and then come back down here. If they don't find anything, they'll reset out. But it looks like Podolak's going to commit and just hope that these are some good checks here. Comment from chat, Lubricant Soul is ridiculous? Absolutely. Yeah, in the right hands, that soul is devastating. Currently, every single Soma speedrun category relies heavily on Lubricant Soul, so kind of a testament to its usefulness. Downside is, if you're using it properly and you get hit, the game's over. So, a risky proposition, but can pay off well. Okay, so not much for Podolak. Now the big question is to Solon, right? He's got that. He's had that lead advantage for a while, but will he now go check the blue book? If we don't see him check it soon, suddenly there's a chance that he has indeed forgotten. That is an easy check to forget, to be fair. It's early on, it's tucked away, but it can create situations like this one. This actually works out great for Podolak. He's going to get... actually, no, he doesn't have slide, does he? I had thought that canister was slide, so he'd be fine. But this actually creates some problems now. That's right, slide was in the study, but it was a little bit earlier on in the study. Okay, so I think it's a race again. Podolak's going to have to choose between doing the long way around the study or going to do arena first. And I suspect he'll do arena, which is going to keep it close between these runners for now. Interesting Tsuchinoko soul find, random drop for Podolak. That soul reduces shop prices by 20%. Not the biggest deal in most cases because runners often have tons of gold and things to sell. But if something really nice shows up in shop like a claim or a final sword, that could be the difference maker. Oh, interesting play here from Podolak, being a little bit bold, choosing to go do Legion before the arena. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Super Metroid randomizers, I would compare the Legion check to the Crocomire check. It's a little bit out of the way, it's got some checks, it's a gamble, and frankly, it often doesn't pay off. But if it does pay off, it can be a real difference maker. So something I'd love to see here, wow. I was going to say I'd love to see Panther, but Stolas is an outstanding soul. It's the biggest int boost in the game, and Podolak loves using those rush souls. So that's going to be a huge damage increase for him down the stretch. Seeing in chat a comment about Death's Scythe, that's a really great weapon. I should probably note that all of the weapons you normally find in the boss rush mode of this game, Death's Scythe, Excalibur, Positron Rifle, those are in the pool of possible randomized items. So we could find those. And yeah, they're certainly really, really good weapons. The one downside with Death's Scythe is that it is Dark Element, which makes it tough to finish the game with, though it can be done. And it's great for Graham, and it's great for Julius Belmont as well. Rush Souls are really nice to have for Legion here. You can see he just cuts right through it. Does big damage to both the core and to the 4 shells outside of the core. And Podolak's got plenty of MP regen. So it shouldn't be too long of a fight here. Even if Podolak doesn't find any good drops, a nice thing about fighting Legion is, I believe it gives 14,000 experience. Maybe it's 12,000 actually. But that's a huge level that he'll have over Solon. You'll see that Podolak is using the Mistletoe sword. That's a smart choice. That is a holy element sword. And Legion is weak to holy. So good call there. Nice fight. gremlin is useless, but the experience, like I said, will be helpful. Okay, there we go. So that's a huge find for Podolak. Death's Robe is one of the best defense-increasing armors in the game, but more importantly for him, I think, it's the best int boosting armor. So his Manticore setup is now going to do crazy damage. He's got Rune Ring, he's got Wooden Golem, so he's got like double or triple his normal MP in practice. He's got Soulless Soul if he wants it, for a plus 16 int boost, and he's got Death's Robe. So as soon as he gets to those final fights, he's going to make quick work of them using Manticore. So nothing progression related there, but I think he's happy with that trip to Legion. Paid off for him this time. Unfortunately for both runners, it's looking less and less likely that we have a duplicate Blue Book, which could be catastrophic for Solon if he doesn't remember where it's located, but hopefully we see one in the arena somewhere. So the arena is a pretty interesting area in a randomizer context. It's got a lot of strong enemies, pretty tough boss fight with Valor, and it's got a number of checks, but a lot of them are a little bit longer checks. You can see here, Podolak is going to go through this red Minotaur hallway, which normally takes a while, but smart use of the Rush Soul there. Durga Soul, not so useful at this point. The arena is also infamous for having a number of trial hallways, including what we fondly call the worst room in the game. Just a mess of Medusa heads, Aranis enemies, there's an Archdemon in there. So we'll see that coming up. It's definitely tough to navigate without taking damage. Nice late game bat drop for Podolak. I doubt we'll see much use of that. Podolak does need to be careful with his health here. He is poisoned, so enemies will deal more damage than usual. But he'll be able to just rush through this hallway here. Alright, we got the trials coming up for Podolak. Podolak has cleared out almost all of the castle at this point, so if he doesn't find anything here, I expect he will go back to study, which will be good for him. Not much behind the Wrecking Ball. So here we have the worst room in the game. Oh, no, it looks like Podolak's going to save that for later. Can't blame him. Instead, it's time for a little game of DDR. So you'll see that these controller inputs pop up between the angel statues. These are always the same. You just got to press them in the right order. There is a skip you can do with Giant Bat, where you clip through the wall. It's not really a clip, it's just a badly programmed wall. Unfortunately, that option is not available to Podolak. Good point in the chat. Podolak actually does not have Slide or Giant Bat yet, so he'll have to wait on those. There is a one tile wide space you have to enter, so you'll need one of those for the worst room. Unfortunately, it messes up the very last DDR, so we'll have to do this all again. Elfin Robe is the second best intelligence boosting equipment in the game, the one he just found, that green tunic. Unfortunately, he's already got Death's Robe, so really no need to pick that up. Okay, time for the Balor fight. Balor has one weak point, his open eye, and his fists do a lot of damage. So it's a fight where you can easily get comboed, you can easily get a lot of damage dealt to you, so you gotta be careful. And yeah, I like this setup strategy for Podolak. He's opting for the double hit Kunitsuna, and he equipped a bunch of strength increasing items and souls, which makes a lot of sense. Manticore and other rush souls cannot hit Balor, so this loadout is very sensible. Okay, quick first phase. Moving on to the second phase now. Interesting. So the Galamoth Soul opens up a couple of checks in the quarters behind the Time Bunny. Now, as viewers, we have a sense that's probably a wild goose chase. Study is kind of the next key point to go. But Podolak might choose to do quarters first, understandably, just because he got Galamoth. No, he's making the right call here. Podolak, it seems like, is going to study, I think. This is definitely the right play. And as soon as he picks up Giant Bat, I think he'll be heading for the blue book. We're going to hope we don't have a situation where both runners have forgotten where that book is located. Like I said, it's definitely an easy place to overlook. Okay, there's Podolak's slide. Now, Podolak did open up the forbidden area, I don't know, you got like a column. He pressed the switch that raised that column up, so he will not have to make this backtrack like Solon did. Could save him some time overall. I think that was the first time Podolak actually checked his books. Solon checked them earlier, but yeah, now Podolak knows he's got both the red and yellow souls that he needs. Okay, and there's Giant Bat for Podolak. I'm sure he's happy to see that finally. Meanwhile, Solon is going through Legion, like we saw Podolak do earlier, and I expect he'll go to Arena next. He will be able to do that worst room in the game check that Podolak had to skip, so we'll see. At this point, I think for Solon's sake, I'm kind of hoping that's a Panther, right? I think that would be a big possible difference maker. You can find Panther somewhere along the way. But it's looking like this is going to be a no Panther seed. Interesting, Podolak choosing to do the regular backtrack. So a critical moment coming up here. Where does Podolak choose to go next? You know what, I wonder if he's actually going to backtrack through Chapel as well, just to get that blue book done right away. That would be a pretty smart routing decision. Yeah, it looks like it. So this is the reason why he didn't do the backtrack on the, or excuse me, the reason he did do the backtrack in the study. He wanted to just go straight to the chapel and grab the blue book, which is going to be close to the chapel's entrance. Very nice routing. Okay, let's see what our blue soul is for today. Manticore, a classic. Okay, so he's ready to go. Podolak is now in go mode, and he's got a really great offensive loadout to handle the end game. So with this, Podolak definitely has a decisive lead. However, the great equalizer remains the chaos fight. If a Podolak struggles, Solon definitely has a chance to catch up. Okay, so the grand fight coming up for Podolak is divided into 3 phases. He'll have to make sure that he equips the relevant souls before he deals too much damage on the second phase. That's what triggers the true ending. You can see that Solon, meanwhile, is in the worst room in the game. Blue canister, could it be Panther? No, Persephone. No luck, unfortunately. Question in the chat, does Solon not have Manticore? I believe he did find it somewhere, but I know he's not as big of a fan of using it as Podolak is. Alright, so I think Podolak's making the right call here. Just going to play it safe. Equip the key souls right away. A common misconception about the Graham fight is that Graham resists dark. Graham actually does not resist dark. So weapons like the Khalid Ball or Death Sickle are very effective here. Okay, so we now have confirmation that the true ending was achieved, and that we're ready to deal as much damage as we can. Yeah, you can see 181 per hit is great out. Very nice fight from Podolak. Meanwhile, Solon starting his Valor fight. See what he uses here. So from this point, Podolak has 2 fights left to face, the Julius Belmont fight and the Chaos fight. He's also got to go through the Chaotic Realm, which without Panther can definitely be tricky to navigate. Solon just sticking with the Levitain. Definitely a great weapon for that fight. So Podolak is going to make a quick shop trip for tackling the final couple bosses. Does he like what he sees here? He's already got a rune ring. And he's actually also got a black belt, so no need for extra accessories. He might pick up that Levitain. Yeah. So from here, Podolak has to head to the Floating Gardens, and there is a special room you can only enter after you've defeated Graham with the true ending requirements. He'll be able to open that up now, and that will start the Julius fight. Yeah, the Floating Gardens is a bit of a maze. You have to keep going left and then go right at the right place. That'll bring you to the secret area. Okay, so here is the Julius Belmont fight. Definitely has quite a reputation. Also some of the best music on the GBA. And you can see that he's definitely putting out a lot of damage per hit here with Manticore. That combined with his really excellent MP regen, I expect this will be a quick fight. Okay, phase 1 done already. In phase 2, Julius will start using the classic Belmont sub-weapons, including Axe Cross and Holy Water. Gotta be careful with the health there, Podolak. Julius is not going down without a fight this time. Yeah, unfortunately, just taking a look at Soul on screen, he seems a bit lost, so possibly he's forgotten that check. Hopefully he does remember it, because like I said, anybody's race still, with Chaos being quite an equalizer, but Podolak's got a comfortable lead right now. So this is the Chaotic Realm. It's a mishmash of different rooms from different areas across the castle, with new enemies, typically much tougher ones. There are a few last-minute checks here if Podolak chooses to go for them. Poison Worm's not going to help too much. Now, typically, like I said, Panther is the preferred way to get through this, but if you're playing a no Panther seed, I like Podolak's use of the Rush Souls through some of those tougher rooms. Giant Bat can also be quite useful here. Alright, so one more check here. Then we have a final check coming up in a couple of rooms for Podolak. Okay, so not much. That's the Durandal sword. Quite good, but not as good as the Levitain. I assume that Podolak was hoping for, a truly S-tier weapon, something like the Claim or Excalibur. No dice this time. But he's still more than equipped to handle Chaos well, I think. Alright, so right here, this is the entrance to the final fight of the game. Chaos is split up into two phases. In the first phase, these three angel statues will absorb Soma's soul abilities, meaning you can't use souls for this phase. Each statue has 3,000 HP. The big ones to worry about are the blue soul for sure, and then those red crystals can also hurt. The yellow soul has this lock-on attack that drains MP, but Podolak is so stacked on MP regen, I don't think he's going to worry too much about that. Podolak does have a little buffet he's carrying with him, so he's probably good on healing. One thing to note about Chaos 2 coming up, though, is Chaos 2 is fond of combo damage. So even if you've got all the healing in the world, if he starts to combo you, you can die in a matter of frames, meaning there's no time to heal. So this fight is quite interesting. We have 4 eyes. Each of them have 3,000 HP. The core is the real boss, that solar eclipse looking thing. That also has 3,000 HP. And for each eye that is killed, you deal more damage to the core. In other words, the core's defense drops. So it looks like Podolak is going to go for a classic 2-eye strat. Kill the bottom 2 eyes and then focus on rush soul damage for the rest. And you can see the damage is piling, right? He's good, but he's got to be careful. But yeah, Podolak is playing this very well. I think he's going to come out of this with a win. Okay, and time for Podolak. Very well played race. Congrats to him. I'll say I think Solon played this race very well also. It was just that one mischeck that really held him back. He had the right call early to go to study. And if he had checked that blue book early, I think it would have been a very interesting race to follow, but still very well played by both runners. And hopefully it was enjoyable to watch as well. I'm going to reach out to Podolak now to see if he's interested in some post-race commentary interview. Okay, so Podolak has declined the post-race interview, but no problem. We can go ahead and root on Solon the rest of the way. I think he is heading back to that blue book now, which is great. We'll see if he wants to continue from there. Yeah, just to follow up on a comment in chat, the soul stats in this game don't often work as advertised. For example, intelligence does not increase red soul damage at all. It only increases blue soul damage, which is a little counterintuitive. And for that reason, the blue souls are often considered less useful. However, in a randomizer context and a speedrunner context, the blue souls are actually some of the best in the game. Okay, so we do see that Solon gets his blue. He's going to check to make sure he's got all 3, which he does. Yeah, I think the highlights in terms of blue souls are definitely those rush souls. Very, very useful. But death is also good. A lot of the summons like Creaking Skull and Shadow Knight are good. Also some decent blue healing souls, which can be helpful in a pinch. One of the things I've always enjoyed about speedrunning and playing randomizers in this game is so many of the souls are really useful. So there's always good variety in how these runners choose to approach the game. But it looks like Solon is going to forfeit. So that will be the end of our race. I want to thank everybody for watching. I also want to thank Speed Gaming very, very much for hosting. We are trying to hold these races every week at 7 p.m. on Sunday. So let me quickly go ahead and post some links. Please do follow the runners. I think they both gave us a great show. If you'd like to follow me, I also do Castlevania speedruns. I'm a big fan of Aria of Sorrow speedruns as well. And please do check out our Discord. I'm not sure if I have a link for that handy. Excellent. Okay. So yeah, we're always interested in getting new players to come and join. We'd love to get feedback on, how the randomizer is working for new players, what sorts of features people would like to see included in the future. So feel free to stop on by and say hello. Yeah, well, that will do it for me. Thanks very much for watching.